This video was sponsored by HubSpot. A good CEO can build an average company into a billion-dollar success, and a bad CEO can destroy even a strong company in less than a year. With so much on the line, shareholders happily pay these privileged men and women millions of dollars a year for their services. But they are still just employees. They come to work every day and go home like everyone else. So what the f do these people actually do all day?
Musk has officially rebranded the company as X. He wants the app to be central to everyday life, where they hand in everything from communications to finance to gaming.
And ultimately, absolutely, I should have been on top of this, and I feel really, really bad and regretful that I wasn't.
So today, I'm excited to announce an entirely new AR platform with a revolutionary new product.
The real answer to what a CEO actually does is whatever they want. Within the company, they are only answerable to the board of directors, and the only power that board of directors has over them is to decide their compensation package or to fire them. The board of directors themselves are representatives of the company's shareholders, and in a lot of small companies, the biggest shareholders and the chairman of the board is also the CEO. So the board can't do anything apart from give advice and hope the CEO listens to it. That's only for small companies though. It is incredibly rare for the CEOs of public companies to have this much power. In fact, there is only one company in the S&P 500 where the CEO cannot be voted out by the board, and that's Meta's Mark Zuckerberg, since he owns a majority of a special type of share in the company. For every other CEO, their only real job is to not get fired by the board. The best way to do that is to keep the board that represents the shareholders happy by delivering strong business performance. Make Green Line go up is a simple objective, but it still doesn't answer what they actually do all day, since that goal can be achieved in so many ways. But I have to make this video before good work makes a funnier, better version of it. Again. So let's imagine that you wake up one day in the body of a random Fortune 500 CEO, and you need to make it through the day without being found out. Here are the things that only a CEO can do from the moment that you walk into the office until the moment you leave, probably quite late at night. The first task that only a CEO is allowed to perform in a large company is to choose the direction the company will take. As CEO, only you can decide if your company will acquire another company, introduce a new product line, focus on growth or cutting costs, open in a new country, or just keep things running exactly as they are. A good CEO should talk with the board, their employees, and occasionally outside consultants before making these decisions. As CEO, talking to these parties can alert you to risks that have been overlooked, or better opportunities to be pursued instead. As CEO, there are different ways to get this feedback. Some try to be as hands-on as possible. They will talk directly to customers, do their own sales calls, and work weekends at stores. Other CEOs decide what to do based on financial statements and the advice of senior managers that pass feedback up the corporate hierarchy. The first type of CEO normally gets more praise from being a hands-on manager that really knows their business, but both styles have pros and cons. CEOs that spend too much time performing low-level business operations can get too concerned with details. A hands-on CEO can only manage a company so large before their style of management becomes incompatible with getting the information they need to make good decisions. No matter what approach you choose to take, as CEO, you are still the only person that can decide the direction of the company. Are you going to rebrand to X.com? Are you going to remove a headphone jack from your flagship product? Are you going to pivot from selling books to selling everything? The average CEO does not make that many big decisions in a day. They often don't make that many big decisions in their entire career, but they do spend a lot of their time every day talking to people whose opinions they value. So when they do need to make decisions, they can make the best one possible. But making decisions that could change the course of an entire company's future is just the first thing that a CEO needs to do when they get to work. And the other three tasks don't get any easier. So it's time to learn how money works to find out what good CEOs actually do all day. This week's lesson was sponsored by HubSpot. As CEOs, it's imperative to stay ahead of the curve and be informed about the latest trends and changes in the industry. It's not about following every buzzword or trend on social media. Instead, it's about diving deep into comprehensive reports from trusted sources like the AI Trends for Marketers from HubSpot. This report is a goldmine of information, delving into the intricacies of AI in marketing. It covers topics ranging from predictive analytics, which can forecast customer behaviors and optimize campaign strategies, to the rising importance of chatbots in enhancing customer service and engagement. Furthermore, it emphasizes the role of AI in personalization, ensuring that marketing messages resonate more deeply with individual consumers. But it's not just about understanding these trends. The report also offers actionable strategies on how to leverage them. For instance, it provides case studies on businesses that have successfully integrated AI-driven chatbots, tips on how to utilize predictive analytics for targeted marketing campaigns, and best practices for creating personalized content that truly engages the audience. These insights are more than just interesting reads. They're practical tools and strategies that CEOs and marketers can implement to stay ahead in the ever-evolving world of marketing. There's a wealth of knowledge packed into this report, making it an essential read for CEOs and marketers who are serious about leveraging the power in their strategies. Use my link in the description and start exploring the AI Trends for Marketers report today. The second thing that only a CEO can do is decide how the company's money is spent. A good CEO should take advice from their chief financial officer and other staff before making decisions like taking out a loan, issuing a dividend, or making a purchase. But ultimately, only the CEO possesses the authority to spend the company's money at their discretion. Since you have woken up to find yourself as the CEO of a very large company, it would be impossible for you to make every single transaction yourself. The largest transaction made by a company was $202 billion, which was paid by the British telecommunications company Vodafone to acquire Mannesmann in the year 2000.
That is a lot of money.
If you were the CEO of these companies, this deal would need your approval. But small transactions happen thousands of times in a day in companies because staff and suppliers need to be paid and basic expenses need to be covered. A good CEO will set up a framework for spending that lends their authority to use company money to staff in positions like payroll or to normal staff members through corporate cards to cover travel or general expenses. This framework should have levels of spending that need to be approved by different levels of management. If a junior analyst needs to book flights to attend a conference, they should be able to put that on a corporate card and get the expense approved by their manager. If the manager wants to reward that analyst with a $25,000 bonus, then they should require approval from their manager and possibly an independent payroll manager. Progressively bigger spends should need approval from progressively higher levels of management.
Probably the most significant announcement of the day is that we're excited to announce that we're going to be building a gigafactory in Mexico.
A good trick to cut down on expenses that you can use as a CEO is to rewrite the expenses framework to make it harder to get approvals for spending. If it's too difficult to spend money, staff won't do it unless it's really necessary. Saving money is good, but if your company misses out on opportunities because of it, it can reduce the returns you provide to shareholders. It's the shareholders who decide if you keep your job, so getting spending frameworks right is important. You want your staff to have everything they need to do their jobs, but not too much that they waste money on unnecessary shit. As a CEO, you can delegate making this expense framework to your CFO, but you still want to sit down with them on a regular basis to make sure that people at every level of the company aren't spending too much, but also aren't being stifled by financial bureaucracy. The next thing that only a CEO can do is act as the public face of a company. As the CEO of a large company, you need to accept that you are responsible for selling the company and its operations to the public because they are your customers and investors.
Get out there on the factory floor, get out there in the stores, talk to customers, think about what would you love to have.
Top CEOs spend a lot of their time talking to the press about how their company is going to deliver strong returns to shareholders. CEOs of big companies have communications teams that schedule interviews and prepare talking points. Whether they are delivering good news or downplaying bad news, a CEO's job is to convince anybody watching that their stock is undervalued and that the products their company offers are better than the competition. Making lots of media appearances is a great career move for a CEO for two reasons. The first reason is that it does influence markets. According to research from Oxford University's Said Business School, if a new CEO presents their strategy within their first 100 days, it has an overall positive impact on stock price. If the CEO keeps their investors happy, they keep their job. The second reason that new CEOs for large companies are often hired is because they are well known by the investing public because they have appeared in media before. High-level executives often hire their own personal public relations team to get them in articles and on news segments that talk about the work they are doing because they know it's the best way to land a C-suite job at a Fortune 500 company. If you are already a CEO of a large company, you get the same advantage as an incumbent president. Just by doing your job, you are getting attention. If a new board of directors at another company already knows of you and your track record, they will be more likely to draw up a competitive offer if you ever want to switch firms. The fourth thing that only a CEO can do is a less formal responsibility, but also their most important responsibility. They dictate how the business operates every day. That might sound the same as choosing a direction for the company, but it's focused internally on staff and systems.
It's not like, of course the CEO has to live the culture, has to, be able to make sure the leadership team lives those values. But if you can switch on every person, every employees, every team members, own mindset to say, well, I'm not just working here, Microsoft's working for me, then you've achieved something.
Some CEOs like to encourage a relaxed atmosphere where people get good results because they feel comfortable and love coming to work. Other CEOs push professionalism at all costs and demand that their staff hold themselves to the highest standards no matter what they do, or they will be let go. As a CEO, you will need to decide what kind of business environment you want to create. But before you choose, you need to know that certain approaches work better in some businesses than others. I used to work in investment banking, and the assumption was that you would show up on time in a suit every day and you would work late nights and weekends until your work was done. Anything less than that, and you were going to get the tap on the shoulder. The CEOs of hospitals expect the same level of professionalism out of their staff because people's lives are literally on the line. This approach wouldn't work as well in normal companies, though, because people in these professions only put up with these extreme expectations because they are compensated extremely well. Unless you want to pay all of your staff like investment bankers or doctors, a more relaxed corporate environment is a better play, or you will have high staff turnover. Big tech companies have done the opposite. They have relaxed dress codes, and they have built offices with free cafeterias and luxury amenities to get their staff to want to work extra hours instead of demanding it. Depending on what company you wake up as the CEO of, you will need to think very carefully about what environment will get the most out of your people. But once you know this, how do CEOs actually change corporate culture? They do it by leading by example. If you want your company to be filled with staff that show up on time, do their work, and go home, you need to do the same and make sure your leadership team does the same and make sure that they are demanding the same from their teams. If you want to create a culture of geniuses fixing the world's problems with technology, you should sit in the middle of the office at a desk visible by everyone working on code in your flip-flops. If you are going to demand 80 hours a week out of your junior analysts, you should be in the office 90 hours a week. Some CEOs try to order their staff into a certain style, but staff can see hypocrisy, and if there is hypocrisy at the very top, every single manager in the company is going to have to deal with questions like, why do we need to work late when the CEO leaves at 5 every day? Why do we need to wear a suit and tie when the CEO shows up in a t-shirt? As a CEO, you will learn that it's easy to think you can do whatever you want, and nobody will say anything about it because they won't. The CEO of a company does not directly report to anybody in the company. The only people that can fire you or take disciplinary action is the board of directors, and they do not watch what the CEO does all day, but your staff does. And it's your staff that make the company work well enough to secure you another year of a multi-million-dollar bonus. A report by the Harvard Business Review tracked 27 CEOs that ran companies with an average revenue of $13.1 billion. It followed them over 60,000 hours of total work, and it revealed that on average, they were working 62.5 hours per week. The study also found that 25% of their work is spent on people and relationships, 25% on functional and business unit reviews, 16% on organizations and culture, and 21% on strategy. 72% of their time was spent in meetings, and most of their communications, 61%, were handled in person. As a CEO, you are going to spend a lot of your time talking to your people, so setting the tone of the business may sound like wishy-washy HR bullshit, but it's probably the most important thing that you will do as a CEO. One of the largest private companies in the world today has been known to influence politics and hide their assets in offshore accounts in a way that pretty much gives the middle finger to America. But that's just the tip of the iceberg with the Koch brothers. Go and watch our video over on how history works to learn more about the Koch family business. If you want to watch these videos a day early and get articles that will never be made into videos for YouTube, then subscribe to my email newsletter Compounded Daily to keep on learning how money works.